DeRay, let me turn to you. In the first chapter of King's book, he's really reflecting on the role of arts in the civil rights movement and the Black Lives Matters movements. Our audience is likely familiar with the power of song throughout the civil rights movement. But there was a particular quote that I really loved from Cortland Cox, who was a SNCC organizer, who said, "Song helped thaw some of the fear." And of course, he was referring to some of the fear in confronting Jim Crow in Mississippi at that time. You were on the ground in the earliest days of Ferguson after Mike Brown was killed, long before there was actual national media attention confronting what we now know to be one of the most aggressive local police forces in the country. I'm curious, was there any art at that time for you that also helped, in Cox's words, to thaw some of the fear?
Yeah, that's such an interesting way to put it. The art was incredibly important, and I think about it both as an outlet and a container. So, we were outside for a long time. It was a long time, and after a point, you're like, okay, so what can you do? It's like the chants and the songs kept us like excited, kept us energized, and Black people are so creative. So some of the songs were bops. You're like, that was a good. You're like, that was a good chant. You're like, that was good. And it was so democratized. So anybody who like both believed and understood and had rhythm can help. And in those early days, we knew those things more than we knew each other's names. Like I didn't, we didn't know anybody's names in the first 40 days. Like I knew I could identify you. I was the guy in the red shorts before I was the guy in the blue vest to people. But excuse me, I remember the people who like made the first chance. I remember those first chants. Like, I mean, they really kept us together. And that art was like the paperclip of the moment in so many ways. I don't know if we would have stayed outside as long as we did. We were outside till 2 a.m. to 3 a.m., if not for the chants and the songs keeping the energy constant. We were still afraid. So, I think Cortland was talking about something a little different, but it definitely was the catalyst for the energy and kept the energy flowing. And I think that was true. We were in the street for 400 days, and it was 400 days of chants and songs and images that really kept the energy constant when the police were trying to dampen our spirit.
Yeah. Has that been collected anywhere? I mean, Ken does some of that work, I think, in the book, but I'm just curious from your perspective and sort of movement leaders at that time, have we captured it and sort of kept it as an archive to carry forward?
We did keep, yeah, we like, if not only because when the protest spread across the country, there were organizers calling us, being like, what was that chant? They were like, we heard that chant. What was it? And it's like, here it is. And like, this is how we said it, or how did you do this? And that was actually really cool to see people like take and make their own. And some of the chants were brilliant. I'm like, that was good.
I don't know how it works to read a small segment from the book online, but I'd like to give it a try to build on what DeRay is saying. This is a quote from Wyatt T. Walker, who was the director of the faith-based civil rights organization Southern Christian Leadership Conference, talking about the power of one song, We Shall Overcome. And he says, one cannot describe the vitality and emotion this one song evokes across the Southland. I have heard it sung in great mass meetings with 1,000 voices singing as one. I've heard a half dozen sing it softly behind the bars of the Hinds County Prison in Mississippi. I've heard women singing it on the way to work in Albany, Georgia. I've heard the students singing it as they're being dragged away to jail. It generates power that's indescribable.